Welcome to the 2025 Refresh Renew Summit from Soul Heart Collaboration. I'm your hostess, Jamie Allen Bishop, and I'm here to introduce our next speaker. Get ready to listen to Wendy LeBlanc. Introducing Wendy. She is your divine feminine holistic and postpartum wellness coach. She's passionate about empowering exhausted moms struggling with postpartum depression and mom guilt. Now based in New Brunswick, Canada, Wendy brings a personalized, heart-centered approach to guiding mothers in embracing their divine feminine energy and unleashing their inner mama goddess. Her mission is to help women kick PPD, that's postpartum depression, to the curb and rediscover their strength, joy, and confidence. Today, Wendy will lead us on a transformative journey toward embracing your inner mama goddess and she will include holistic wellness and self-love, sharing insights and navigating motherhood challenges while celebrating its triumphs. Dads, you're going to want to pay attention to this too, because you are going to be able to help assist your mama goddesses in whatever journey they're going through just by knowing a little bit more about it. So stay tuned. Help me welcome Wendy LeBlanc.
Hello, everyone. I'm really honored to be here with you all today for the Renew and Refresh Summit 2025. Thank you so much, Jamie, for the invitation to speak at this amazing event. I was here last year, and I'm really honored to be here again this year with you all. And today I'll be presenting Embracing Your Inner Mama Goddess. So are you ready? Great, let's get started. So welcome everybody. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm so honored to be here with you today. And my name is Wendy. I'm your divine feminine holistic wellness and postpartum coach. And I help exhausted moms struggling with postpartum depression and mom guilt embrace their divine feminine and unleash their inner mama goddess. And before we dive in today, I'd love for you to share what brought you here today. What are you hoping to take away from this session? So I'm going to talk about my journey, my story. My journey hasn't been really easy, like from since I can remember. My recent journey from Rogersville, New Brunswick, Canada. During COVID, me and my husband, we made a decision to move to Egypt as we didn't feel safe in Canada with the mandates imposed on us and all that. We were living in Cairo, Egypt for 4 years. We were raising my daughters. And recently, I made the difficult decision to come back to Canada. So starting over with just me and my girls. That was one of the most challenging experiences of my life. It was quite an experience. And also struggling with postpartum depression 26 years ago. It tested my strength, my faith, and my resilience, but it also reminded me of the power within us as mothers to rise, rebuild, and reclaim our lives. Because we can. So motherhood and trauma, or birth trauma, I should say, motherhood and birth trauma. I know firsthand the struggles of postpartum depression. After the traumatic birth of my first daughter 26 years ago, it was triggered by 34 hours of labor, the use of forceps, and then after that, an emergency C-section. And that also resulted in a broken coccyx for me, which still gives me issues today. So this traumatic birthing experience, it made me spiral into a severe postpartum depression. I didn't realize it back then, because this was not even a term, but it really was a dark moment in my life. That pain lasted for years and was compounded by a lot of mom guilt. I often felt I wasn't enough for my children or that I was failing them. That's how bad it was. And it all resulted in this traumatic birthing experience. I know a lot of you mothers that are watching may relate to this. And if so, you're not alone. There's a lot of moms that go through a traumatic birthing experience. So how many of you have ever felt that motherhood was both beautiful and overwhelming at the same time? Let us know, for those of you watching. I mean, motherhood is painted as, the perfect, you have to be smiling, you have to be doing this and that, but it sometimes isn't that happy. And a lot of moms are struggling with that. So the awakening, I call it the awakening because motherhood, it also became my spiritual awakening. I went through a spiritual awakening when I became a mom for the first time. It forced me to dig deep, face my wounds, because I had some childhood wounds and trauma that I had never dealt with. And it helped me begin a journey of healing through coaching, energy work, and embracing my divine feminine. The healing became my mission, like this healing. And it took me years to heal from it, from the mom guilt and all that. Like I said, 26 years ago was when it first started, but it's only a couple of years ago that I actually realized what I went through. And it was postpartum depression. So it lasted with me for years. I did have 3 more daughters after this. And as each pregnancy came, I became a little bit more experienced and I was able to actually live with it. But I didn't really know what was wrong with me at the time. So it's only about maybe 3-4 years ago that I actually realized what was going on. And then I did the inner work and the healing that I needed to keep going. So it became my mission. So today I stand before you as a mom of 4 beautiful daughters, a survivor of PPD, and a guide for other mothers walking this path. I've made it my mission. I joined a few Facebook groups for postpartum depression with so many members, like moms that were also struggling with postpartum depression, but they didn't have any support or any help. So I made it my mission to actually help mothers to overcome it. So now we're just going to dive a little bit deeper here of what is postpartum depression, because it's still kind of like a taboo thing. So what is it? It's more than the baby blues. Like after a woman gives birth, it's often that she will have something called the baby blues. That normally lasts maybe 2 weeks or so, or maybe a little bit longer. And this is perfectly normal because a lot of moms, when they give birth, that like your body's changing throughout the 9 months, throughout the pregnancy, but then the birth itself and all that, like it creates an imbalance with the hormones, and that can cause baby blues. But postpartum depression is much more than the baby blues. It doesn't just go away like the baby blues does. It's a profound, intense sadness. It can create anxiety, mood swings, and even disconnection with your baby. Especially in my case, because it was a traumatic birth, I felt, we were both traumatized, myself and my daughter. Like when he was using the forceps, her heart rate went down and we almost lost her. And then I ended up having a C-section, an emergency C-section. But I remember when I saw her the first time, I saw a big, huge scar or mark across her face, and she had a bulging eye. So there, I really thought that I failed my daughter. That was my first thought. And that's when the mom guilt started. And that's where it started. That image stayed with me for a very long time because I thought I had failed my daughter. My body wasn't able to, to give birth naturally. And she had to suffer with that. And there were a lot also like behavioral issues. Like as she grew, she was very hyper. She was diagnosed with ADHD, ODD, OCD, like a lot of things. So, and I'm thinking that this birth trauma probably didn't help. It was a physical thing, but it was also probably also a mental thing. It traumatized her, and I was traumatized as well. So it can last for months or years if it's not treated. In my case, it lasted a very long time. I still managed to have 3 more daughters, but I still felt the mom guilt. It wasn't as bad as the first time, but I still felt it. So and it can deeply affect mom and also the family. So like if there's any men out there that are watching and you have your wife or your partner giving birth, and you may have experienced this, and it's not something that's talked about too much, and there's a lot of guilt there. So a lot of moms that are going through postpartum depression, they won't tell their partner or husband because of the guilt. And a lot of dads probably don't know how to, like, what's going on with their with mama. It's so that's something that I want to do as well. I want to educate dads to to look for, like, signs to look for and things like that. So like to open the discussion so that everything, she can get the support that she needs. If mom can get the support that she needs, it will help with any symptoms of postpartum depression. So, and also education. When you're educated and you can understand the signs and symptoms, then you can do something about it. So, so if you're comfortable, let's do a quick reflection here. What's one word you would use to describe how you felt in your hardest season of motherhood? Let us know. I'd be curious to know. Now we're going to move on to the next slide. So the weight of mom guilt. I mentioned mom guilt. A lot of moms, we have mom guilt. We all we want what's best for our children, but sometimes we feel really guilty. And when you're struggling with postpartum depression, it's a constant feeling that you have that you're failing your children. That it's a constant whisper, of I'm not enough. I'm not a good mom. I'm failing my kids. If I could do things better, my kids would be better. And it's caused by many things. It starts with low self-worth is one, past traumas. A big root cause of mom guilt are also societal expectations, limiting beliefs, or stereotypes that moms always have to be happy, nurturing, and have a smile on their face. But what society doesn't tell us is that there is a dark side to motherhood. We go through many changes during pregnancy, hormones. Then there's the birthing process, pain, exhaustion, sleepless nights, and so much more. So a lot of moms have that stereotype or that limiting belief that they need to be always happy. They always have to be nurturing. They're not allowed to take care of themselves because it's selfish or things like that. So that creates a lot of mom guilt for moms. I used to compare myself with other moms at meetups even. Like I'd go to meetups and I would compare myself to the other moms there. And I didn't feel that I was deserving or that I was a good enough mom to even be there with these other moms. We tend to do that a lot. We tend to compare ourselves. And it creates shame, self-criticism, and exhaustion. And that just fuels the depression cycle. So I'm going to ask you another question. What's one thing you felt guilty about as a mom, even though deep down you know you shouldn't? If you're willing to share, please be free to share it. So now we're just going to go to the next slide. And breaking the cycle. So how do you break the cycle? There's different tools that you can use to break the cycle of postpartum depression and mom guilt. The first one is seeking support. Support is so important because it's a lonely journey. Postpartum depression is a very lonely journey, and we need to have a support system. That's really important. I wish I had had that 26 years ago, because my postpartum depression might have not been as bad as it was. You can go through therapy or coaching, having a community of moms. You don't have to carry this burden alone. It's a lonely journey, but you don't have to carry this burden alone, mama. Another thing is prioritizing self-care. So like small acts, like, taking a walk, a bath, taking some, a few minutes to breathe. It's not selfish. Although we've been taught that it's selfish, it's survival. We have to fill our cup, right? If we want to keep pouring to our children. So self-love is so important. And learn to embrace your emotions. Learn to accept your emotions, because we're taught as a society as well that our big emotions, we should never express them. We should just keep, shoving them down. But all it does is it just festers there. So if you can't express how you feel, you're going to blow up. You're going to end up not having any patience, and you're going to end up blowing up. Like, we're only human. We're moms, but we're just human. So learning to embrace your emotions, like feeling them, expressing them, releasing them instead of bottling them up inside, that helps a lot. And of course, talking about it, talking, sometimes, and I'm going to go back to the community, like having support, like having a space where you can vent, where you can talk about your frustrations and things like that. That really helps. And I understand, like, whenever you have small children, it's very hard to find even 1 second to yourself. But what I used to do when my babies were very small, I would just, if I knew that they were, safe and okay, I would just go lock myself in the bathroom for even like a minute or a few seconds, just to like kind of like breathe in and just calm myself. And that helped me a lot. And another thing is spiritual practices like meditation, or Reiki. You can even try journaling. Writing about your feelings can also help. And again, like, if you don't have a lot of time, it can be a little bit hard to do, but it can be done. You just try to find a way to put it into your routine. And movements, like me myself, I love qigong, tai chi, and I also practice chakra. Those are practices that actually really help me, and it helps ground me and balance me. And I try to do them every morning. Now my kids are a little bit older, so I have a little bit more time where I can do that. But like, if you can incorporate at least just one, even if it's a tiny thing, it helps a lot. And also mindfulness and presence. This helps shift from guilt to gratitude by focusing on the now. Like, energy healing. Like I mentioned, Reiki. I'm a Reiki healer, and energy healing can really help release emotional blockages. Daily grounding practices, as I mentioned, journaling, meditation, or qigong, or anything that you like. Even if it's just taking a bath, if it's just just reading a book, or whatever it is that that calls to you. Those were my favorite ones, but we're all different. And self-love rituals. Those are self-love. I can't emphasize that enough, because self-love is the foundation of being able to overcome anything, really. So creating self-love rituals like positive affirmations, mirror work, sacred self-care routine. It's so important. Mirror work is basically, because as humans, our minds are biased to negativity, right? And limiting self beliefs that we have. So mirror work helps a lot. In the beginning, it's not fun to look at yourself in the mirror, because we tend to see all our faults and everything, right? So it, but like with time, when you learn to do this mirror work, you learn to kind of like accept yourself for who you are, and you accept your faults. So it really, really helps. And another thing is community support, finding a safe space where you feel seen and heard. That's like mama groups and things like that. It's really, 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 really important. And remember, healing is not linear, but each step matters. So let's pause right now and take a deep breath together and exhale. So you just close your eyes, breathe in deep, and then you hold it for a few seconds, and then you just release it. And imagine you're releasing guilt and welcoming peace into your life. And what's one small practice you'd love to try this week? So we're creatures of habit. So sometimes we have to kind of like build to the habit, but like just sometimes with just one little thing that you can do that will help release any heavy emotions or guilt or anything like that, that will make you feel better. So from postpartum depression to empowerment, like my transformation. Me, I stand here today as proof that healing is possible. From drowning in postpartum depression and mom guilt, I transformed into a woman who feels empowered, radiant, and free by realizing that my inner critic and limiting beliefs didn't define me as a mother. It wasn't my truth. That was just my pain screaming. So once you heal, you can handle things better. You're feeling calmer. You have a more of a positive outlook on life. And when it comes to raising your kids and things like that, like from experience, I've had four. I had, but now I'm an empowered mom. I don't have mom guilt anymore, and I take things day by day. And they're older now, so that makes a difference as well. When they're smaller, it's a little bit harder to, but like, I mean, learn to embrace each moment with your kids, because I know sometimes they'll kind of like nag you and things like that, but like sometimes it's just, they just need to be acknowledged. They just need for us to look at them or play with them, or just spend time with them. That helps them tremendously. And in this day and age, we have a lot of our phones, our gadgets and technologies and stuff like that. So sometimes kids will just react in a certain way to get our attention. So when we can give them our attention, even if it's not for a long time, it keeps them happy, it keeps them calm. So yeah, so it's really important to rewrite your story as a mom. You can shift your mindset from self-judgment to self-compassion and embracing the amazing mom that you are. You have the power to break the cycles of silence, of shame, and unrealistic expectations that are passed down through generations. Remember that healing yourself also helps heal your precious children and future generations to come. So when we break the cycle, we also break the generational trauma cycle that's been passed down to us from our mothers, from our great grandmothers, from our great 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 grandmothers. So when we break the cycle, it stops with us, and then we can just keep going and pave the way for our children to have a better outcome, or take a better path. So, and if I can rise, so can you, because my journey was very, very full of ups and downs. And your story doesn't end in pain. It can blossom into empowerment and joy. Your story doesn't have to bring you pain all the time. Your story can change. You can change your story so that it's, so that you're empowered and that you're happy and calm and doing great. So does anyone have any questions? And if so, I'd love to pause here and open the floor for any questions. What's resonating with you so far with my presentation? And if you could ask, let me ask you a question. If you could ask your future empowered self one question about motherhood, what would it be? You can, write that down and journal about it. Same as all the other questions that I mentioned throughout my presentation. You can make like a journal entry and, just answer them and see what comes up. And now, well, my presentation is done. And we have a few minutes left. So join me on the next step. As I mentioned, I'm a postpartum coach, and I'm hosting an amazing workshop called the Rebirth of the Mama Goddess, Conquering PPD 5-day workshop. It's on October 27th, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's free, and it's to help moms break free from postpartum depression, release mom guilt, and rise into their inner mama goddess. And I also have an amazing Facebook group, a sacred community for support, sisterhood, and empowerment. And there I host weekly Empowered Mamas coffee chats. And this is a safe space where moms can just come in, drink some coffee, and kids are welcome. I often have moms that have little ones, and they're, they get up and they do what they need to do. It's like, it's a safe space for everybody. So, and they're really great. So, and those are inside my group. And I also host Mama Goddess Chronicles live trainings in my group as well. And I have many plans for my group. So if you want to join my group or attend my workshop, Jamie will have the information for you and the links and all that to be able to join in. And you can also download as well my Self-Love for Mom workbook. It's it includes daily empowerment practices and things like that to help you on your journey to self-love. And it's a powerful tool. It's got daily practices, and it'll also help you reconnect with you as a mom and as a woman as well, as a goddess. So take one of these steps today, because your healing begins the moment you say yes to yourself. Say yes to yourself. And it makes a world of difference when you can say yes to yourself and choose healing and empowerment. It makes your journey in motherhood so much easier. I wish I had known all of this 26 years ago, because I wouldn't have been caught up to so much in darkness. It would have been more enlightening. And a big thank you. Thank you so much for listening in today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with me. And I want you to remember, you are not alone, Mama. You are not broken, and you are so much more powerful than you know. You are a Mama Goddess, and it's time to rise and wear your crown with pride. And that's all I had for you today. And thank you so much. From my heart to yours, have an amazing day. And I hope to see you soon.